What's up, you guys? Vinny Vendetta here, and welcome to another Summoner's War video. In today's video, guys, we're going to be talking about runes, specifically runes for beginner players. We're going to be talking where to get them, how to tell if you're on the right track for your runes, and whether or not you need to be changing things up, and just an overall general guide on runes for beginner players. This is not for advanced players. If you already know how to rune monsters, this is not going to help you. There's no secret tips or tricks here, just the basics and how to progress your runes to the point where your monsters can effectively do things like Giants B10, Dragons B10, TOA, and more. So with that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the rune overview. We're going to go over to my buddy's account who recently started the game, take a look at a few of his runes and see, if they can be improved. And then we're going to craft some runes and go over each rune, kind of break it down. Why is it a good rune? Why is it a bad rune? Should I keep it, etc. Alright, so with that being said, let's get right into it, guys. We're going to use my Taor as the example monster to talk about the basic overview of runes. So each rune is identified with a number slot. It's 1 through 6, starting at the top and going all the way around. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the 1, 3, and 5 slot are static, which means the main stats, the stats up here that are enhanced every time you upgrade the rune, will never change. The 1 slot will always be flat attack up here, the 3 slot will always be flat defense, and the 5 slot will always be flat HP. That being said, as substats, the stats that come underneath, you can never have defense percent on the 1 slot, and you can never have attack percent on the 3 slot. It's kind of the opposites. So 1 is always flat attack, it cannot have defense percent on it, and 3 is always flat defense, it can never have attack stats on it, okay? And then HP can have, the flat HP can have whatever substats. So for 1, 3, 5, when you're judging whether or not it's a good rune, you're completely looking at the substats, which are the stats that come after the main stat. And it has up to 4, which leads me to my next point is runes have different grades. So there's green, blue, purple, and gold. Each one starts off with 1, 2, 3, and 4 stats respectively. So a green rune would have 1 substat. All right, and when you power up a rune, it can go up from +1 to +15. Every 3 levels that it goes up, it will improve one of these substats. Okay, so what that looks like is we'll take a rune here that is at nothing. So this is a base, it's a purple rune, so it has 3 substats, like we said, green, blue, purple, gold, 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 3 substats. So as we start to power this rune up, which I'll probably rephrase this, I think that's why I kept it. 3, 6, 9, and 12, it will increase one of these substats that are there. So we'll just go to +6 or +9 to give an example. +3, the next enhance, one of these stats are going to increase. So we'll do it again, and we'll see what it goes into. So we got 8% into accuracy. I think it was 8, I think it started with 4. Which was a good increase, but you can see that it went into it. So if we keep going up to +6, we'll get another increase in one of our substats. Now, for this particular rune, when it goes to +12, since there's not a 4th stat on the rune, it will just add a new stat. It will not increase one of the stats that are already there. It will just add a new stat entirely and put basically just 1 roll into it. If it was a green rune, for example, it would start off with 1 stat. And when it hits +3, it's going to increase that 1 stat. When it hits +6, since there's not a second stat there, it will add 1. It will add a brand new one. And then at +9, it will add a brand new one. And at +12, it will add a brand new one. At +12, every rune, no matter what grade it started with, will end up with 4 different substats. So if there's not one there at +6, +9, +12, it will add it instead of increasing the stats that are already there. What that means is, for a rune that starts off with the substats, for the previous enhancement levels at 3, 6, 9, or 12, instead of just getting a new stat, it will increase the stats that are already there, making the rune more effective overall. So we got another roll into resistance here, which is okay. This rune will be reappraised later on. All right, So that's the grades, that's the slots. Let's talk about the 2, 4, and 6 slot, which are variable and changing. the 2 slot is the only slot that can hold a speed as a main stat. So as our substats increased at 3, 6, 9, and 12, I'm sure as you guys saw, as I was enhancing that rune, the main stat increases every single time you upgrade the rune, 1 through 15. Every single time it upgrades, the main stat increases. So speed is a really important stat, as we know for all of our monsters. Slot 2 is the only slot that can have speed as the main stat, which means if you have a support monster and you need them to be fast, they have to have speed on slot 2. If you have an attacker that's damage is based on speed, or you even just want to make sure that they get more turns in, you need the speed on slot 2. It's the only spot that'll take it. If you need to put attack percent on the rune, you can put attack percent on the 6th slot, which is another variable slot that can have basically any stat. So the stats that are exclusive to certain slots is speed on slot 2, crit rate and crit damage can only appear on slot 4, and then resistance and accuracy can only appear on slot 6. Otherwise, it's free reign. Attack percent, HP percent, defense percent, the flat ones, which we're not going to keep, but the percents can appear on 2, 4, and 6. And usually when people talk about builds, if you ask how do I rune this monster, somebody might say attack crit damage attack or speed crit damage attack. They're referring to the 2, 4, and 6 slot respectively. So if they said attack crit damage attack, they're saying attack on slot 2, crit damage on slot 4, and attack percent on slot 6. Because 1, 3, and 5 never change, you don't have to worry about kind of what runes to put on them. So lengthy, I know it's getting a little intense, but one more thing to go over, and that's the set effects, and then I'll stop breaking down the runes specifically here. Like I said, it's just kind of a general overview, so it's a lot of information. The last part I want to cover for this is the set effects of the runes, and that's all the runes that are down here. All the different types of runes that there are. There's 4 sets and there's 2 sets. So a 4 set, like Fatal, for example, requires you to have 4 Fatal runes on the monster to get the set effect. And you can see that if I have 4 Fatal runes, I get an additional 35% attack. This is going to be really important for new players, because you're not going to be able to get a rune like this one, for example, that's 6 stars, that has 21 speed on it, and crit rate and crit damage. It's just not reasonable for you guys to try to live up to that kind of rune quality. But what you can do that's really easy to do is get these set effects, which are actually pretty impactful, especially in the early game, and especially something like Swift, which gives 30 or 25% speed just for equipping the 4 runes. So that's going to give you, on average, monsters have a base speed of around 100. I mean, it varies from like 90 to 120 or whatever, but just average out 100. So you're going to get about 25 speed on a monster just for equipping a Swift set, regardless of what all the other stats are. And then if you put speed on slot 2, which if it's around a 4-star rune, you're looking at least 20 speed. So you can already have plus 40 speed on a monster from a set effect and speed on slot 2. That you still have 5 other runes to work with to get speed somewhere, but you can get 40 to 50 speed on a monster just from a set effect and speed on slot 2. That's huge. So there's really no reason to have support monsters with less than 40 or 50 speed. That should be a really easy objective to complete simply by using the set effects here. Now, you guys are going to hear a lot about using violent runes because violent runes are OP and you have to have them to farm dungeons. It's absolutely not true. People try way too hard to put monsters on violent when they have terrible violent runes. If you don't have good violent runes, don't use them. If you have really good Swift and Fatal runes and Blade runes and Energy runes that you're getting from Giants, use those runes. Those runes are far better than using violent runes. My Teor, one of my hardest hitting monsters, is on Fatal, guys. And he's got plus 90 speed from substats alone and plus 2,000 attack. I mean, he hits like a truck. He doesn't have a lot of crit damage, mind you, but these are Fatal runes that I farmed from Giants. And, you know, some people would say put them on Rage because Rage is, you know, better or whatever. But my Giants runes are better. The substats on my Rage runes don't compete with the substats on my runes from Giants because I farm Giants a lot longer than I farmed Necro or I farmed Dragon speed 10. And for all new players, you're farming Giants. So your Fatal and your Swift runes, your Fatal and your Swift runes are going to be far more impactful than the other runes. Alright, so what if you can't do Giants yet? What if, you know, I'm talking about all these runes and the set effects, and you're like, I can't even do Giants B6 yet, which is kind of where you should get to in the beginning. Well, you can still get the set effects, you can still farm specific runes, and you do that by going into the scenario. So there's absolutely no way you can't clear up to Mount White Dragon. I don't know why it's called that, but you can see in each scenario, if you check the drop info, it'll tell you what kind of rune it drops in the scenario. So we have energy here on the very first one, Garant Forest, then we have Mount Sizz is dropping Fatal. So right off the bat, the second scenario you have access to drops Fatal runes, which is great for all of your damage dealing type monsters. And then we have Kabir Runes is going to drop you Blade, Mount White Dragon is going to drop you Swift. So the first 4 scenarios give you all the rune sets that you're going to need. Swift Energy is great for supports, Fatal Blade is great for damage dealers, and that's about all you need to get to the point where you can start farming Giants effectively. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go into these scenarios and say you got Bernard from the achievement and you want to put some good runes on him, you want to get some Swift runes, so you come to Mount White Dragon and you're like, I want speed on slot 2 because that's going to be the most impactful rune off the start. The way these scenarios are set up is that stages 1 through 6 correspond to each rune slot. Like we said, we have 1 through 6 runes. Each stage corresponds to each rune slot. So stage 1 is only going to drop runes that go on the 1 slot. Stage 2 is only going to drop runes that go in 2 slot, 3, and etc. So, like we said, speed can only go in slot 2. So in order to get that speed rune, you're going to have to farm stage 2. And you're not going to get a speed rune on the first drop, but you can keep running it until it does give you that speed rune, and then you can equip it to your Bernard. And then say you want HP percent on slot 4 and 6, you can go to stage 4 and stage 6 and farm them. Each scenario also has a stage 7, which has a chance of dropping a little bit higher quality runes, but it's random 1 through 6, random stats. So it's going to take a lot longer to get the rune that you want from farming stage 7. Plus it's a little bit harder. It's not really worth your time. If you can do them a little bit more challenging, try to go to hard mode because it will increase the runes overall, and then go back to the specific stage and farm your runes that way. At the very least, you guys should have appropriate sets for your monsters. Put your damage dealers on Fatal Blade, put your support monsters on Swift Energy, and get the stats that you need. If you end up getting a really good Fatal rune with a high speed substat, or a good Blade rune with a high speed, you could put them on your supports. Make sure your supports at least have Swift. And you can put your damage dealers on Swift as well. If you're struggling with the speed and you don't want to put speed on slot 2, you can do attack, crit damage attack, and keep the Swift set so that they still have a little bit of speed. Because monsters, guys, with less than 20 speed, you're not being very impactful. Speed is huge. It's really important. So getting that in is going to make a bigger difference than getting more attack on your monsters, I guarantee it. Alright, so that's the basics for the runes. I know it's a lot of information, I'm sorry, but for new players, that's the gist of everything that you need to know. If you're getting stuck on Famon or something like that and you still can't do Giants B6, you know, come back here to the scenario, get those runes, get the kind of sets that you need, and I promise you it's gonna get you to the end of scenario if you can at least get the sets and get the appropriate stats on 2, 4, 6. Alright, so that being said, we're going to go a little bit more in depth on substats, but we're going to do that by looking at my Guildie's account, because he's kind of at the beginning area and his runes need a little bit of work, and we'll just kind of go over some substats and what they should look like for runes that you should keep. So we'll take a look at his Lapis to start off with. Plus 39 speed, that's decent. I'm pretty sure the runes that he has on this are from the challenge. The rewards, they give you a set of vampire runes, which are really good runes. So you could take a look at them. If you're looking at these excuse me, if you're looking at these substats, they're very synergistic. They work together well. Speed, crit rate, crit damage, everything you would need on a damage dealer. We have speed on slot 2 again, attack percent, crit rate, crit damage. very synergistic. They all are working towards one goal, and that's kind of what you should be looking for on your runes, for your attack monsters and your support monsters. Attack monsters, you want that crit rate and crit damage, and attack percent and speed. Those are the most important stats on your support monsters, like your Bernard. Obviously, you want that speed on slot 2, which he doesn't have, so you need to work on that. And then, you know, speed is substats on the other runes, HP percent, defense percent, accuracy, resistance. Those stats go well with support monsters, and that's what you should be looking for. Support monsters don't need crit rate, crit damage, attack percent, but they do need speed, and they do need HP, and they usually need accuracy. Alright, so looking at his Bernard, we don't have speed on slot 2. Mistake number 1. Okay, his Bernard only has 34 speed, 25 of that, a little more than 25 of that is coming from the Swift set. Alright, so Bernard is one of the monsters that I say you do Swift, speed on slot 2, and anything else that gives you the most speed. I don't even care if you don't have an actual second set, you just want speed on your substats. So slot number 1, no speed. Slot number 2, there's not speed on the main stat. Slot number 3, there's no speed. Slot number 4, there's no speed. Slot number 5, there's no speed. Slot number 6, there's 6 speed, which is decent for where he's at, but it's a flat defense rune. I would take it since literally none of his other runes have speed on it. I'm actually surprised that that's the only rune that has speed on it. Did I miss? Okay, I didn't miss it. That is just, that's terrible. Terrible. Your Bernard needs to be your fastest monster, period, because his whole purpose is to increase the attack bar of your team so that the rest of your monsters can be a little bit slower, and he'll speed everybody up. So speed on slot 2 is what you should aim for, and then get speed on these substats, on these runes. So if you need to, keep farming this scenario, farm stage, you know, 3 through 6, until you get runes that have speed as the subset. Even if it's just a green rune and speed is the only substat, when it goes to +3, that speed's going to increase, and then it's going to be a good rune from there. So needs to work on that. Bernard needs some work there. We'll take a look at a couple other examples, and like I said, I'm not trying to bash your monsters, Jacob. You know I asked your permission to do this, but a lot of beginners do this kind of stuff, and this is another perfect example of something that beginners do because they read stuff online or people tell them in chat. His Bella is on Violent, and I guarantee you he is not farming dragons, which means these Violent runes are probably very bad. So we have a 1 slot with speed on it and accuracy. So this rune actually isn't bad. It's even 5 stars. It's not too bad. We have speed on slot 2. I'm kind of surprised since his Bernard did not have speed. Okay. Slot 3. Nothing here is really working for Bella. It's got defense percent a little bit. It's not a very good rune. It's a 3-star rune, and I guarantee you he has better Swift runes and Fatal runes. So again, an example of people trying to rune something with the set, even if the runes don't have the quality for it. This Bella would be much more impactful on a Swift set. How much speed does this Bella have? 24 speed. What did I say? 40 to 50 is the bare minimum, because the Swift set gives you 25, and slot 2 should give you about 20 speed. Alright. So even this 4-star rune is only +10. It could go up to +15 and give you, I don't know how much, it's probably around 30 speed at +15. A 5-star is 39, so I think it might be 36 or something like that for a 4-star. I don't level 4 stars up to +15, so somebody correct me on that. But you can see that he tried too hard to put this monster on Violent when he clearly should have kept it at Swift and put better runes on it. Right, so we should be looking for runes with speed substats, and like HP and defense percents is the main stat. We have an attack percent and crit rate on slot 4. Bella is not a damage dealer. She doesn't need it. She just needs speed, HP, accuracy, defense. Excuse me, you name it. Again, crit damage and a lot of resistance. Not doing a whole lot. An attack percent on slot 6 with only +2 speed. It's almost nothing. It's not worth it. This Bella is not doing anything for you. It's actually really bad. I'm sorry to say. So, again, just like Bernard's, get your speed on slot 2, which you have here. That's good. You should probably put that rune on Bernard, and then get her on Swift. Get some speed substats, at least 40 to 50 speed. There's no reason why a monster should be less than All right, we'll take a look at one more. Oh my God, 5 speed. This will be the last one because it might not even have runes. Again, look at the violent. I did not take a look at these beforehand. Defense percent on slot 2. Negative. Support monsters, speed on slot 2. Always. Always. Okay? So we're missing speed on slot 2. Accuracy and resistance, that's not bad. I'm not going to criticize you for that. At least those stats are synergistic to what his objective is. But there's no speed on it. So it could be a little bit better, but at least the stats are appropriate. Crit damage with defense percent and flat defense. He only has it there because it's violent. The extra turn, if your monster does crap, when it takes an extra turn, it's still going to do crap. So again, you don't want to force violent runes or rage runes or stuff like that on monsters if they don't have the stats. So this could use a lot of work. HP percent of defense and 1 speed. At least the stats are right. The stats are right on this rune. They could be higher. It's only a 3-star rune. But the stats are good on this. This is kind of what you should be looking for. The synergistic stats, the HP, defense percent, speed, but try to get them up a little bit more. And then we have HP percent as the main stat, which is good. And you have defense percent. The crit rate's fine that it's on there because you're getting a lot of HP and defense. Some speed would be nice, but it could still use some work. And then we have speed on slot 1, which is good. But you see that this rune is purple, but it's only +6, which means that at +9, it will get 1 more upgrade into a substat, and then at +12, a new substat will appear. So he could upgrade this to +9 and possibly get an additional roll into speed, but it's only a 3-star, so that's kind of up to him. Overall, okay. The crit rate, again, is not needed, but the speed and resistance are good. But forced violent. You shouldn't be trying to force that. Okay, let's take a look at this monster. He's got a Fatal Blade set on it, which is promising, because that's kind of what we want on our damage dealers, which Mao is. He's kind of a hybrid, but his support is based on attack percent, so build him like a damage dealer. Speed on slot 2, attack percent is a substat. It's only 2 stars, but it makes more sense than what I've seen so far. Alright. Speed and crit damage on slot 3. You're 2 for 2 on this guy. You're doing good. Crit damage, attack percent, and crit rate. This is a good rune. It's only +3 though for some reason. You should upgrade it to +9 because you could get 2 more rolls. At +6 and +9, you can get a roll into attack percent and crit rate and make this an even better rune. This is a decent, good rune here. Alright. Attack percent and crit damage on slot 5. And attack percent on slot 6, crit rate, crit damage, HP. Looks damn near perfect. And speed and HP percent on slot 1. So, it's got speed, and it can have some potential to roll in some new stats. So, overall, this was actually, I probably should have started with this guy so it didn't seem so negative. Not bad for a damage-dealing monster. The speed is low, but it can be improved, and it's mainly because you're focusing a lot into the damage dealing stats, which is fine, and these runes aren't upgraded all the way, so they have a lot of room for improvement just by getting them to +9 or +12. We can get some more stats out of those. This can roll into speed twice possibly. This can roll into crit rate 2 more times. That's already done for. This can roll into a few things. So Mao looks pretty good. He's a little bit slow. But if you work on your Bernard, get your Bernard up, his speed up, then Bernard can support him and give him more turns, which means Mal pumps out more damage, pumps off more heals, and does more work. Alright, that's enough bashing of my buddy's account here. I just wanted to do a few examples so you guys could see, but a lot of new players, their accounts look like this because they don't really know what to do. If this was my account and I was in this situation, I would be in the scenario, getting the appropriate runes for each slot. Get Bernard's speed on slot 2, get him some HP percent, get him some HP percent again on slot 6, get some speed substats everywhere else, and your progression is going to improve rapidly, I guarantee it. Alright? Because runes are 90% of the game. Runes are 98% of the game, and monsters are 2% of the game. Alright, so that being said, we've done enough bashing of Jacob's account. I talked about the overall process of runes and how runes work, and now we're just going to craft a couple runes and I'll show you guys kind of my thought process when I go over runes. And let's do some rage runes, because I've been farming necro. I don't have a ton of mana, but we'll do a couple crafts and we'll see what we end up with. Alright, so slot 4 could potentially have crit rate or crit damage on it, but it's flat defense as a main stat, so right off the bat we're done. Unless it's a Bernard rune and it's got a high speed roll on it and it could possibly roll into speed a couple times, not even looking at it. Flat defense, just sell it. Alright, let's take another look at another one. Alright, 6 stars, 3 slot. Flat defense doesn't change. Defense percent, I didn't talk about this actually. So underneath the main stat, there's a chance that there could be another stat, technically a 5th stat, and it can never be changed. It can't be changed and it can't be upgraded. So that defense percent will stay there forever and I can't do anything about it. Down below we have resistance, HP percent, and speed. Okay, so this looks like a great support rune. Rage isn't necessarily the type of set effect I'd want on a support, but I could use it as a broken set. I could just throw it on a monster anyway. There's some HP and defense based damage dealers, but it's got speed and it's a 6-star rune, so, and it's purple. So what this means is +3, +6, +9. It's gonna upgrade the stats. In fact, I'll get this and we'll upgrade it in a second and we'll go over that. Let's do like 2 or 3 more crafts and then we'll go upgrade that rune and talk about it a little bit more. Slot 1, for you guys this wouldn't be bad. It's going to roll twice because it's a blue rune, so we have the potential to roll into HP percent twice and, you know, get a good bit of HP and maybe some speed if we're lucky on 9 and 12, but I particularly wouldn't stick with this one. For you guys that's totally fine. HP percent and accuracy percent work well together. That'd be great for you guys starting off. And let's see what we have again. Attack percent on slot 4, not my favorite, but something that new players can do. You guys can run attack percent on 2, 4, and 6, as long as you get decent crit rate subs. So looking at this for you guys, you could keep it because it has crit rate, it has crit damage, it has attack percent, and HP percent is good on every monster. So this is a rune that you guys could keep. If you're looking at it, the substats, everything works together. And it's a decent rune overall. But for me, I have to sell it. Alright, we'll do 2 more, and then we'll go upgrade that rune. Legendary, alright. Crit rates, crit damage, accuracy, and resistance. So, looking at this rune, obviously we're going to keep it, right? It's legendary, it's 5 stars. For me, that's kind of iffy, but for you guys, of course, we're going to keep it. It has crit rate and crit damage, which worked well together. It's a rage rune, which set effect is crit damage, so that's synergistic. Accuracy is used on a lot of monsters, and resistance is always good. For me, I'd probably change the resistance into something else, but overall it's a good rune. We could roll a lot into crit damage and crit rate if we're lucky, so we'll take it and we'll roll it later and see what we get in the substats. Alright, another 4 slot, attack percent, crit rate, crit damage. Again, perfect for you guys. It's synergistic, the stats work well together. I don't particularly need it, so I'm going to sell it, but a good rune overall. Alright, so let's take a look at those runes that we just got. And upgrade. Let's do this one, because I want to see if we get some speed. So, a purple rune, like I said in the very beginning of the video, green, blue, purple, gold, 3, 6, 9, 12. That's kind of how the substats are going to be improved. So at 3, 6, and 9, since this is a purple rune, it will improve the stats that are already here, with the exception of the defense percent, like I talked about, being in kind of that special zone where it doesn't get touched. So hopefully it will roll into speed. That would be what I would want to see. Lots of speed on this rune, but it can roll into any of these 3. So hopefully it sticks to speed. Hopefully we get a good roll into it. Alright, so we got +5 speed on that roll, which is 1 less than the max for a 6-star rune, so I'm kind of happy with that. If I'm lucky, I can pull 20 speed off substats, just getting this thing to +9. So let's see what we get at +6 here. If it doesn't roll into speed again, I'm just going to leave it for now, but if it rolls into speed, we'll take it to +9. And see. Come on, it's just +6, it's not that hard. If it's going to go like this, we might just leave it at +6. So we got a maximum roll into HP percent. It's not bad. It's not a bad rune at all. I can grind that HP percent up. I can grind the speed up. Let's go ahead and take it to 9 if it goes relatively quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on this. But again, at plus 9, it will increase one of those stats again. And then at plus 12, since there's not a 4th stat, and I know that's a little confusing because you're thinking there are 4 stats here, that defense percent does not count towards that. It's in that little special zone. So at plus 9, we'll get one more upgrade into here. Resistance, not what I was hoping for, but still not a bad rune overall. I could probably find some uses for it. I'm not going to take it to plus 12 right now. Maybe in the future if I find it kind of the monster that this is going to work for. But if you guys had a rune that looked like this, it would be amazing for you guys. It's defense percent, resistance, HP, and speed. Everything a support monster needs. Good amount of speed on it too. So a really good rune synergistically. Just for me personally, I don't have a use for it at the moment. But a good rune overall. And like I said, when I take it to plus 12, a brand new stat will appear down here. But not worth it. I don't want to waste. I only have 200,000 miles. Nothing worth it to bring it there. All right. That being said, I hope this video was a little bit helpful. I know I got long-winded and it was lengthy again. I'm terrible at doing that, but it is a lot of information for newer players, and it's kind of a confusing concept. But it's the most important concept for Summoner's War because, like I said, 98% runes, 2% monsters. So, as an example, real quick, I'm going to show you guys my Bernard. And I think I showed him in the last video as well, on the Giants team. But just, if you didn't see it, I want to show you kind of what it should be looking like. So, speed on slot 2, obviously, Bernard, he has to be as fast as possible. Swift set, and then you can see I don't even have a second subset. I don't have a 2 subset. I just took runes that had good speed subs because I want my Bernard to be really fast. Right, so we have 19 speed as a substat, 20 speed as a substat, 23 speed as a substat, 18 speed as a substat with HP percent, and 19% or 19 speed, which gives an overall 280 speed on my Bernard, which is actually kind of slow for the meta right now. Pushing towards 300 is more, not average, it's kind of the higher end. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to give you an example, talk about runes for new players, where to get them if you need them. One last thing before I head out is my guild is currently recruiting. We're looking for newer players that are active. If you're an experienced player, it's fine, you can still join, but we kind of wanted to keep everybody on the same level because we have a lot of new players in our guild currently that are working towards level 50. So if you guys want to join, the guild name is We Are Brian, capital M W E and B or W A and B. I don't think it matters, so you could find it. And go ahead and send an application in. I'll get you in if you want to join. And that's pretty much it for this video, guys. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If you stuck all the way to the end, that was a long, wordy episode. I'm sorry. But Jacob, I hope that helped you out. For new players, guys, I hope this helps you out. If you have questions, put them in the comments below. Be happy to answer them if I can. And that's all I have for you. So thank you very much for watching, guys. And as always, I will see you in the next one.